Hello! My name is Jordan Hanley and I am the product manager of DISCUS Desktop. Many DISCUS users wish to use their own templates instead of the default templates that come pre-installed in DISCUS. In this video, I will be going over how to create your own custom Excel template for DISCUS to export to. I'll cover the various ins and outs that you'll need to keep in mind while creating it, and I'll show you how to import this template into your DISCUS profile. A quick overview of what we'll be covering. First, we'll go into the prerequisites of creating a template for DISCUS. Then we'll discuss what a template actually is and the tokens that populate it. We'll then build a simple template. We'll cover the caveats of creating templates. And finally, we'll cover our best practices for how to share that template. The prerequisites for this video are rather simple. First, you need DISCUS to be installed with a valid license, and you'll need a general understanding of Excel. What is a template? Well, a template is simply an Excel workbook that has special tokens within that DISCUS can write data to. Tokens are essentially variables. They're placeholders that will print a value or set of values to the workbook upon export. Here you can see a screenshot of the DISCUS AS9102 Rev-C default template that comes with every installation of DISCUS. The blue arrows are pointing to the tokens. There are two types of tokens that DISCUS outputs: static tokens, which are singular values, and dynamic tokens. They tend to export multiple values. Dynamic tokens tend to do a bit more. They're used for exporting tables of data, like the bill of characteristics, the materials, specs, and processes, the tests, and the parts list. Let's break down the two most common tokens, TDP part number and BOC CN. Each token starts with a $, opening curly bracket, and ends with a closing curly bracket. They will always start with the source of the data. This could be TDP, BOC, which is for bill of characteristics, comp, which is your parts list or component list, spec, which is your specifications, materials, or processes, tests, which are your tests, and op, which are your operations if you're a planner user. The data is usually the same name as the field label, though that isn't always true, as you can see with the CN number on the right. Static tokens tend to not have underscores, as you can see. TDP part number is a static token, while BOC underscore CN is a dynamic token. Of course, there are some exceptions to these rules, but you should refer to our token library for any value you wish to take from DISCUS and export to Excel. Let's go over the types of dynamic tokens. There are 5 different types of dynamic tokens: the bill of characteristic tokens, aka BOC tokens; parts list tokens, otherwise known as comp tokens, which stands for component; specification, material, or process tokens, which are spec tokens; test tokens; and operation tokens, which are process plan exporting only. We will not be making a process plan template in this video. However, you can apply basically everything from this video to your own process plan template if you so wish. You may also have noticed that some tokens have additional underscores and some have camel case naming conventions. This is just a relic of DISCUS being a 20-year-old product. For a full list of tokens, once again, you can visit the link that is in the description and also mentioned at the end of this video. Let's take a look at the 9102 Rev-C template once again. As you can see, everything on Form 3 fits onto a single sheet. But when I export with this, what will happen? Everything with dynamic tokens ended up with multiple rows of data, and they were exported in order. As you can see down there on the left, characteristic number increments from 1 to 6, and we have each characteristics requirement, designation, location, results if applicable, etc. With all that in mind, let's actually build a template and see it in action. Let's start with something simple. Here you can see that I have a template where I'm only looking for a handful of items. Let's say I want just the part number, the part revision, the drawing number, the drawing revision, the balloon number, the structure requirement, any result values, and the equipment used to measure the results. This can vary on a project-to-project basis or even a company-to-company basis, so I'm just going to use design tooling and FAI measurement equipment to cover my bases. What we'll need to do is obtain the tokens for each of these values. Ideally, the best way to do this is to head to our support portal, find the template token list, and find the corresponding token for what we're looking for. Let's do that for part number now. Here you can see a list of tokens that is accessible on our knowledge base at support.discussoftware.com. You will have to sign up for an account, but it is the same account that you would use to submit a support ticket. There are a few ways to find what we're looking for. We can use Control F to search for part number, we can click on one of these links to go to the various sections, or we could just simply scroll. Since I know my token is on Form 1, I'm going to click Form 1 and then start scrolling until I find part number. I have now found my part number token, but as you see, there's actually another token we could technically use called component number. And you might even notice that we have red boxes and we also have bolded tokens. Towards the top, it is actually explained that anything in red is new tokens for Rev C, and anything in bold is a duplicate token made specifically for Rev C. We made sure that these tokens match the actual form names instead of having mismatching names. For instance, additional changes used to be a CID number. And more importantly, part number used to be a component number. So all I need to do is take this token, copy it, head back to my template, and paste it. And now I rinse and repeat for all of these fields until I am done. Now that I have all the tokens that I believe to be the correct tokens for each field, all I need to do now is save this template and get it into DISCUS. How do we do that? Well, first, we save the template. Next, we head into DISCUS. Now that I've switched over to DISCUS, I could import my template into the list of existing templates, but I'm not sure my template works just yet, so I should test it. And in order to do this, it's quite simple. We go to File, Export, Report using a template to Excel. We then choose the Browse button and find our template. This is my template from earlier. I'll go ahead and open it, and as you can see, it is now the chosen template to export. We then have to tell DISCUS where to export, and then we can tell it what filter and validator to use. I'm fine with these settings as my validation is okay. I should have no problems exporting. Let's go ahead and do that. And as you can see, DISCUS exported all of the data that I had asked it to. I have my part number, the revision for it, the drawing number, the drawing revision. Each balloon number got exported on its own line, along with its structured requirement, result values, design tooling, and FAI measurement equipment that was entered. This is looking great. This is exactly what I wanted, and I think I'm ready to import this into my list of templates for future use. Now, how do we do that? Back in DISCUS, let's head to Settings, Application Settings, Excel Export Settings. Here, we can left-click the Import button, and we can choose the template that we are using. And as you can see, it got imported into the list of templates. We can also make this template the default template if we so choose. If I click OK, head to File, Export, Report using template, it is the default choice. I no longer have to click this drop-down and choose it every time. For now, I'm going to revert it back to default, but that is an option if you so choose. Let's make sure that that template was correct. Let's head back to Export, Report using template, and make sure our template here is the same one that we expected to see. And what do you know? It looks fine. That covers a pretty basic understanding of templates, but there's a handful of caveats that we have to cover. First, let's talk about what isn't supported in our Excel export. Named ranges in your template will cause an export error within DISCUS. By opening your template and pressing Ctrl plus F3, you can see whether name ranges exist in your template or not. Due to technical limitations in DISCUS, these need removed from your template. Conditional formatting is up next, and it is another item that doesn't work on export in DISCUS. This is due to the fact that when we export out of DISCUS, we're actually exporting data into a general text field as opposed to a numbered text field. If you convert those fields to their corresponding values, for instance, changing the CN column to be a number as opposed to a general text, then you likely will get better conditional formatting, but it only works some of the times. Macros are another popular tool in Excel, and while they should work when you've exported your template, we will not be helping you debug them if it doesn't end up working. Due to their complexities, it's just something that we cannot do at this current point in time. Next, let's cover merged cells. If you were on a version prior to DISCUS 2023 Update 3 Special Package 2, also known as version 13.1.2, then dynamic tokens cannot be placed in merged cells. While the export may work in some cases, most of the time you'll end up with a corrupted cell or some layout breaking, or possibly even inconsistent data output. But if you are on some of the more recent versions of DISCUS, you should not have this problem, and in fact, the default AS9102 Rev C has a dynamic token in a merged cell. Next, we have Excel objects. These are checkboxes, shapes, images, and other things you can insert via Excel. These cannot be placed below dynamic tokens. Dynamic tokens, when they print, add multiple rows, but they do not push these objects downward. If you're not on DISCUS 2024 Special Package 1, then any formulas that you have in your template will not calculate upon export. Those of you that are on DISCUS 2024 Special Package 1, please note that this is a fairly new feature, and it's possible that they still may not possibly work. In this scenario, please report them to the support team, as they can send it to development to figure out why they aren't calculating. Lastly, when it comes to XLS versus XLSX, we prefer XLSX since XLS can sometimes break layouts. Many of these caveats are currently being investigated by our development team to find potential solutions. We hope to have less of these as DISCUS is approved upon in the future. What about custom tokens? In your DISCUS, you may have custom fields you've configured that are specific to your company. DISCUS allows you to export these as well. A token for each custom field is generated when you create a custom field. It uses the field name and it removes any spaces. For instance, this would be a static token for a custom requirement field known as just simply field name. This would be for a custom BOC result field. A requirement field labeled requirement type could be accessed like this, TDP rec type. Or a custom BOC field called measurement tool would be accessible using the BOC_measurement tool token. If you have any issues with custom tokens, please reach out to our support team. They will gladly assist you. If your workflow calls for data that needs to be added after the export from DISCUS, then you may need to use what's called a blank token in order to maintain consistent formatting. This token looks like this and exists for every type of dynamic token. This will output a blank cell for each bill of characteristics entry. And as I just mentioned, a blank token exists for every dynamic token type. It may be better to visualize this. This is AS9102 Rev C, and on the far right hand side you can see BOC_blank in that final two columns. What does this look like when we export? As you can see, on the right side, the blank token did exactly that. It made a blank cell and repeated itself for as many times as there were characteristic numbers. So you might be wondering if this is even needed. Well, if we were to move that token, what would happen? The formatting has broken, and you can clearly see that something is not correct with this export. Once you have a template that you are satisfied with, you may end up wanting to share it with other team members. The best way to achieve this is via a profile. DISCUS has profiles that store custom settings, and these profiles can be exported out of DISCUS and into other installations. It's also possible to make a shared profile directory on a network drive accessible to each internal DISCUS user. I am now back in DISCUS. Let's head over to Profile Settings. This screen shows us a list of all profiles in DISCUS. Any changes made to DISCUS settings that are stored in the profile are made to the default profile, unless the user has specifically created a new profile to be used. Doing this is actually quite simple, as all we need to do is duplicate it and make it active. Let's do that now. My profile has now been created, and all I need to do is set it as active. DISCUS will now warn me that I will be needing to save changes on this screen. Then it will let me know that changing the profile could result in some fields being hidden. Since we only duplicated the profile, this shouldn't be an issue. As you can see, it is now bolded. And if you are on a version of DISCUS that lacks this Set as Active button, if you click OK after duplicating, you can head down to this profile here and switch it. And this also gives us a shortcut to get back into the same profile settings area. The profile holds all XL templates. So now if we wanted our template to be handed off to a user, we could simply just email it to them. But we could also click on this profile, click Export, and then give our profile a name. DISCUS will then zip up the profile contents, export it, and now you have a zip file to freely send to whoever you would like to have the same profile as yourself. Any updates made to your profile locally will need re-exported from your installation to each other user's installation. This is where a shared profile directory can come in handy. Below the profile list is our profile directory. It defaults to somewhere in your application data. All you need to do is click the Change Profile Directory and then choose a new directory, probably on a shared drive where all users can access it. DISCUS will then copy the existing profiles from your installation to that new directory, and then every other user just needs to change their profile directory to be the same location. If this directory is only accessible on a VPN, users launching DISCUS while not connected to the VPN could experience erratic behavior. And that concludes this video. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to our support team on support.discussoftware.com. You'll likely want to go there either way so you can register an account to view our knowledge base, which includes the vast token library I referenced in this video. I hope this video has been of some help to you. Thank you for choosing DISCUS Software.